3406.
Hi again, this is another video for a new Baofeng that arrived to me, a well-known brand. I know that a lot of hardcore ham operators hear about Baofeng and have a reaction to it, but as a fellow very well-known radio enthusiast and YouTuber said, please don't be sad hams. I'm a ham operator too, and I like Baofengs. Yes, I know that they have spurious emissions, I know that they are not perfect, but I have to say that ham radio is a fun hobby. Ham radio is something to learn and develop, and of course you can move to a better radio later, but a lot of people have gone into ham radio and relative activities with Baofeng radios, and I appreciate that thing. You have to think about those things before bad-mouthing any brand that produces mid-range or cheaper radios. The world has changed the last years. We're not in the 80s or the 70s or the 90s anymore. I'm 50 years old. I'm not a millennial or a Generation Z kid. I'm a Generation X kid. But I still appreciate what Baofeng and other companies like Baofeng do. Now, having said that, because I had to say it in some video, let's proceed to see this radio. It's Baofeng UV-28 Plus, a new version of UV-28. It says 10 watt power, it has 1000 channels and 10 zones, and a GPS. It also has a very nice feature of programming it on the go with a Bluetooth application from your smartphone, but we're gonna see that later. Now let's do a quick unboxing, as every time. As usual, a user manual. We have an antenna, the flexible one. I like that they didn't put the classic rubber ducky, but instead they put this bigger, longer one that has better reception with this radio. Because, okay, a lot of us have to buy one of these or more as we go along with ham radio or radio enthusiast activities. It's one of the antennas you must have. Great addition. We have the classic earpiece for the radio. Let me see if I can. Okay. Provided a charging base with this radio to place your radio on, which of course is not necessarily needed because this radio, as most of the radios I have seen lately from Baofeng, have a USB-C charging port on their battery. And here is the radio. I will talk about the exterior in a second, and let's check the battery. Okay, here's the battery. It's 2200 milliamps, a good capacity, I would say. Here's the USB-C charging port. And let's plug it in. Great. We'll take the box out of here. Now, I'll just put the antenna on. Okay. Before I proceed, I'd like to show you something. This is the UV-25 Plus GPS. I have shown both of these radios together in my previous video about the UV-25 Plus GPS to show how they communicate with each other to exchange GPS location data. So those two radios are compatible. They have almost identical software firmware inside. Let me open the UV-25 also. And they are compatible between them. They can exchange GPS data, which is very important if you need this kind of thing. If you have a team and you have some of those radios, you can assign contact numbers to each one of them, and if you're outside, out with outdoor activities, you can call each other and exchange GPS data and location data to see where your partner is. So from this point of view, and since I received those two radios together, I would say that UV-28 is a smaller brother of the UV-25 Plus GPS. a smaller beast. Okay, it's not the beast like this one, it's not tactical, it doesn't look that tactical, but it's a smaller brother of this radio. It has a relatively big battery, almost the same internal software. I have to say that this one doesn't have this feature UV-25 has about fall detection. You can check all of those features in my previous video about UV-25. And of course it's a lighter radio, more manageable to carry with you, not as small as the classic UV-5R or similar smaller radios, but you have to account with this big battery. So on the outside we have, as you can see, classic configuration, Kenwood plug for programming at the earpiece. We have a keypad without shortcuts. They are removed just like UV-25 Plus GPS. The system inside, we'll see it in a second, it's the same. It has zones, 10 zones with 100 channels each zone, so 1000 channels. And again here we have one button down here which is programmable, PTT button, and one button up here. Let's have a quick look on the upper button. If I activate it once, it opens FM radio. If I keep it pressed, it activates the alarm. And the down button, down of the PTT, if I press it and hold it, it activates the monitor function. It opens the squelch to 0. And if I press it once, it activates again the alarm, but this can be changed from within the menu or the CPS. Again, just like UV-25 Plus GPS, there's no LED up here. There's only this green LED over here, but it's not a flashlight LED. They have this bump over here, both UV-25 Plus GPS and UV-28 Plus, as you can see here. And I believe that this is because of the GPS function. They need to place somewhere the GPS antenna so it can receive a good signal. I have already shown, as I said in the previous video, that this radio here, when I activate the GPS, when you're outside, it fixes relatively quick the GPS signal, which is a good thing. And let's have a quick look in the menu. I don't think there's a need to go extensively in the menu. It's quite similar to the UV-25 Plus GPS. It has the banks, which you can name in the CPS or in other programs that you can program this radio with, like CHIRP. Scan function features, Bluetooth that UV-25 Plus doesn't have. This one has Bluetooth and can connect to our Android phone for programming the radio on the go. Radio settings like power, squelch, Vox and stuff like that. All known functions and similar functions to those latest generations of Baofeng radios. Of course, the GPS. In which, as I said in a previous video, you have to search and set the correct time zone deviation for your country. For instance, now I will set for Greece +3. And of course, GPS mode, it's standard GPS, BDS, which is Beidou, the Chinese GPS system, or GPS and BDS both. The Chinese and the international GPS system. I'll just leave it to both. Another menu for programming the channels. And here is the radio info, firmware version and hardware version. Right, so since we're here, I'm gonna search to program the side button. We'll go to radio setting and move down. Here it is, press SK2. Let's see. FM radio, scan, search, Vox, and that's it. So I'm going to put it in search. Okay, and now if I press SK2, which is the button under PTT, it will start searching for available transmissions nearby. And as we see, we are in UHF mode. I can change that by pressing the hash button. And there you go, we found a frequency that also has a DCS code assigned. And if we press the menu button while we have the frequency on the screen, it will ask us if we want to save it on a memory channel. I won't save it right now, and we'll return back to the main screen. Right now I have the GPS and the Bluetooth both activated. I can go into the GPS screen by pressing and holding the red AB button here. Here it is. Of course, right now I'm inside, so it won't get any GPS data. This is my place, so it's searching for my location right here. And if I activate the location screen, pressing the menu button, you will see this compass-like drawing that when you exchange data with another colleague that has a similar radio or exactly the same radio compatible with this, you will see here the dot that tells you where exactly he is located, which direction you should follow to find him. As I said in the previous video, an extremely useful feature for outdoor activities. Okay, that was a quick look of the outside and how this radio looks and operates. I totally suggest to watch my previous video about UV-25. You will find also a lot of information there that are similar to this radio and get a better idea if any of those two radios are good for you. Now, let's do a quick power test. Okay, I have connected my power meter. Let's have a quick look what this UV-28 Plus can do. At UHF, this is a UHF frequency, 70 centimeters, 439,700, and let's see. We get 8.8 watts. Pretty good for the UHF, the 70 centimeters. And let's go to 2 meter frequency. 144,000 VHF. 10 plus. Great. This radio is marketed as a 10 watt radio and it delivers exactly 10 watts in VHF and a bit lower, but just a bit in UHF. So that's a promise kept from Baofeng for this radio. Now, I'll connect it to my laptop and transfer the screen there to see the CPS Programming and the Bluetooth application. Okay, now that we've finished seeing the radio from the outside and the menu and its functions, let's have a look at the programs that you can use to program this radio. As I said before in the video, this radio is compatible with UV-25 Plus GPS. They share a fair amount of the same firmware. The key differences are that this radio doesn't have a fault detection feature, but it has Bluetooth capability in order to be programmed by an Android phone on the go. And that's a plus thing for some people. So before we see these features, let's have a look at the CPS and see how it works. As always, you will find the link for the CPS and the manual of the radio in the description of the video. Now, this radio shares the same CPS with UV-25 Plus GPS. And if you've seen that video, you will know that this CPS is similar for a bunch of Baofeng radios. You can see them here in the list. So an interesting thing that you can do to program this radio is, if you have, as I do, both radios, UV-25 Plus GPS and UV-28, you can open the UV-25 Plus GPS programming. Here it is, my saved channels. And if we go to the list and select UV-28 Pro, we can pass them quickly to our UV-28 without having to write them again. Of course, this is something that you can do another way with CHIRP, and we'll see that later. At the moment, all the channels that I have programmed in my UV-25 Plus GPS can go up to UV-28 from the same CPS. Let's write it to the radio. Now, the options that we have in the CPS are pretty similar if you have used another Baofeng radio in the last years. There's nothing strange in how to use this CPS. You can find the channel information that we see right now in this window, the VFO mode, if you want to change the VFO settings, the default settings for the VFO, or what it calls radio function, which are all the other settings of the radio. All those are also accessible from the menu of the radio itself. Here at the DTMF menu, you can add 20 contacts with which you can exchange GPS location data with a similar radio or compatible with this one. Again, check my previous video on this matter. Now, this video is also compatible with CHIRP, which is a major plus for me. Let's have a look here. As you have seen, I have already passed the channels from the UV-25 Plus GPS to the radio, so UV-28 is now ready, and we can download those channels to CHIRP just to see how it works. Again, here you have to select a different driver for the UV-28, and this is UV-21 Pro GPS. This driver is compatible with this radio. There's no UV-28 at the moment in the list of CHIRP, but you can use this selection, UV-21 Pro GPS, and you can download and upload all your settings normally. As you can see, all the channels are downloaded, the ones that I have passed just a second ago from the CPS of the company. We can see here the banks. As we said, it has 10 banks with 100 channels each, and I have shown that each bank in CHIRP, it takes 100 memories. So if you want to change bank, you just have to place your memories in a new 100 area. For instance, here we start our saved memories from 101. This is bank 2. And if we go to bank 3, it will start from 201. Right now, I don't have any channels here programmed. But if we go, for instance, at 601 and on, you will see that I have passed in bank 7 my ISS frequencies. Again, in the third tab, there are the settings that you can change, all the same in the menu and in the CPS of the company. Everything is accessible from here too. Work mode settings, which are the two VFOs, DTMF, the ones that I said, the 20 contacts that you can set to share GPS data and location, and of course, the bank names that you can name them with something that you can remember and works for you. Now, we have already seen two methods of programming this radio with a computer, and there's a third one, which is useful on the go. It's with an application in a smartphone. The application is provided by Baofeng. It's called Radio Frequency Programmer. It's also used in some other radios of other companies, but this version works with this Baofeng. And let's have a look on how this works, which is fairly easy, I have to say. Okay, I have installed the application in my smartphone, in my Android phone, and if you open it, you will see first this screen. It will ask you for some permissions, of course, in the beginning. From up here, you can select the brand of the radio. Let's go to Baofeng, and we'll go down to the list and select UV-28 Pro series. All right, and then we select here Connect. As you can see, since I have the Bluetooth in the device on, it found the radio, and when I click on it, it already connected. So now we can proceed with reading the memories of our radio. That was it. The read is complete. As I have shown again in one of my previous videos, in this application, in order to use it correctly, you have to make profiles. Different profiles with different frequencies that you can upload and download on the go. So since we did the first read, we can go here to Profiles and make a save. We're going to give a name to this profile that we want to make. Let's name it UV-28 1, and it's saved. So now we have this profile with the memories that we downloaded from our radio saved in our smartphone in this application. In this screen, you can see that we can change zones, select one of the 10 zones that we have. For instance, I just went to zone 10. Let's go back to zone 1, which are my PMR GMRS frequencies. The channel numbers are here. I can select one of the 100 channels that this bank holds. All other settings can be accessed from down here. The VFO settings are in the second tab, where it says frequency mode. And on the third tab, we have the settings of the radio, the general settings of the radio. and the 20 contacts that we can change. Also, as you can see, our zone names, we can change them from here too. And if we click up here where it says profile, we can see the saved profile that we just made, UV21-1, or we can add another one. So when we're done configuring this profile in our smartphone, in our Android phone, let's say that we have made any changes that we want in the channels, in the zones and the settings of the radio, you can go back to the first screen. Here it says home. You can select profile. As we see, the radio is still connected via Bluetooth. We can select this profile, UV28-1, and the right button becomes active. And if we press it, it will start uploading all this configuration, this profile, back to the radio. And it's done. The radio just rebooted, that's why it is connected from the application. Of course, if we want, we can connect it again. And we're back to the main screen. This is a pretty handy feature for me. If you ask my opinion, it's a very nice feature that you can have in your smartphone and application with different profiles stored inside, and you can quickly pass them to the radio on the go. Imagine having different sets of frequencies for different areas, and you can pass them on the go, upload them to your radio within seconds, without having to access a computer or programming the radio from the beginning with a keypad. Okay, I'm outside at the moment just to check the airband frequencies and the airband receive of this radio. I have the frequency here of Athens International Airport arrivals. I'm in Skiathos Island. You can check on Google Maps how far this is, because we are pretty far, a lot of kilometers away. And as you can see, I'm receiving Athens Arrivals Airport in Baofeng UV-28 with the antenna that came with the radio. I haven't even tried to go to a higher place. I'm near sea level. And I'm receiving Athens arrivals pretty good, I would say. Now there's something I wanted to say about all those radios that came out the past few months and all the new models from Baofeng and other companies. They're all getting their radios with a black screen background and white lettering, which is of course a norm. It looks cooler, looks better sometimes. Maybe it's a bit power saving, I don't know. Although I don't believe by much. I would like to have the screen inverted if I could. This can be done easily with an option in the menu in the firmware. I'm sure it can be done very easily. And it could be added to the menu of the radio. With countries with bright sunlight like Greece, it's not easy to see a black screen outside, a black LCD screen outside with white letters. I would prefer to have the screen inverted. So apart from that, as you can see, we're receiving airband from far away pretty good. I haven't even tried, I mean, it receives just fine. Okay, that was a quick test for the airband. Let's continue to the video. So that was UV-28 Plus. As I said in the beginning, a smaller brother of UV-25 Plus GPS, the Beast version 2. It's not a tactical radio as the other one. It's a pretty solid radio with a big battery, a Bluetooth capability for programming on the go. As we saw, it delivers the power output that it promises, 10 watts, tri-band reception. I would say that if you want to start your journey in ham radio, you can choose this one as an entry radio with some advanced features. Programming this radio is fairly easy. With access to a computer, you can do it with two different programs, the CPS of the company and CHIRP, which is a very well-known program for all radio enthusiasts. You can check my channel for a video that's a guide and tutorial for the CHIRP program. And you can also later, if you get the hang of it, program it on the go with your Android smartphone. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. If you like this video, press like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time.